Hi there, it's Dr. JOYLYN Sparkles, and welcome to your Power Hour. This is your time to put what's on your mind on my mind, and we will put our heads and hearts together and come up with a way to go from stuck to happy as fuck in as short amount of time as possible. Sound like a plan? I like to have plans most of the time. All right, today we are talking about the calm after the storm. So, we're familiar with the phrase, the calm before the storm, and in some ways they are the same, especially for those of us who grew up in stormy, dysfunctional family systems, to where calm was really just kind of a mandatory waiting period for the next storm to come, and waiting for the other shoe to drop. So for a lot of us, calm can actually be unsettling, to where then in our adult life, when things are calm, there's actually an internal restlessness and uneasiness that we tend to try to alleviate with some sort of coping mechanism like eating, alcohol, binge watching TV, getting into stupid arguments with people. And also when we're establishing relationships, that we will say this person is boring or this relationship is boring, and either leave it or try to spice it up a bit and insert some ridiculous drama. We do this. We can even do this in conflict resolution when things are starting to work out and things feel too easy. We don't know how to actually be an open, receptive space so that that good that we've been calling in can actually come in and land with us. So when I'm talking about the calm after the storm, a lot of times what we are good at doing and getting better at all the time, because we're using our tools, is learning how to navigate the storm and recognizing that there's a buildup, there's a lot of planning and preparation. We're learning how to use our tools so that we can expand our emotional capacity, so that we are changing our internal dialogue, so we're not giving up too soon, so we can put one foot in front of the other, rest when it's necessary, to start looking at when we are intensely triggered and we really, really want to say that thing, to pause and take a breath and say, is that the wound speaking, or is that going to lead to healing? Oh, I'm triggered. That's a call for love. What's asking for love right now? Can I feel my feet? Because I'm totally in my head. I don't even know if I have feet at this moment, okay? So we're learning how to use our tools in the heat of the moment. But what about when the heat starts to dissipate and things start to relax? What those of us who have grown up in stormy situations, that also feels uncomfortable and uneasy. So what do? We use our tools, okay? The exact same tools that are going to get us through that storm are going to get us through the storm of calm. Because what a lot of people aren't talking about is that there is an electrical, a hormonal, a chemical imprint that's been left on our energetic and physical bodies, to where those of us who grew up in any kind of codependent situation, meaning it doesn't have to be substance abuse, although that generally is a part of it, but that what codependence means is that our identity is dependent on another person. We don't actually stand alone on our own without this reference point. And a lot of us do that because that's what our family system was. This person is the alcoholic. We'll just say that's the easy example. And so then this person's the enabler. And then because we're a family and we're supporting it, we support the enabler who supports the alcoholic, so that the system doesn't get changed. Because change is really uncomfortable, and if anybody tries to change it, somebody gets rattled and there's an emotional explosion. It feels very unsafe. When you're little, you know that if you get marginalized, ostracized, or banished, that you're going to die. Your tribal brain kicks into survival mode, so you just start to learn how to keep your mouth shut up, and keep the secrets and just wind yourself around this. But then we come into adulthood and say, that's not what I'd like anymore. It's not working for me, either because you've had your own codependent tendencies, whether it be with food, alcohol, drugs, sex, video games, whatever, perfectionism, you know, like there's a million different brands of what you've wrapped yourself around and how you've identified, to where a lot of us with this awakening and the raising of consciousness that's happening, we're starting to see, I believe I'm sovereign and autonomous, but I actually want to be that full time. How do I do that? And so you start tapping into different teachers, programs, organizations, books, different literature that are going to come in your path and give you little tidbits of information. And what I'm finding frustrating at the moment is the mixed messages that are coming, as far as it is becoming more and more evident that our bodies are part of this process, because it's how we're actually navigating this physical reality. So we can't leave them out of this and go entirely spiritual. But if we do it entirely physical and just think that it's about what we're eating and drinking, then we're leaving out the energetic and spiritual, and we're not paying attention to who we're surrounding ourselves with, what kind of content we're consuming other than food or drink, and then kind of reestablishing the same old patterns. And so in this, having to really learn how to handle our emotions, and on one hand, reading, and this is what I've been up against this week, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh yeah, it's okay to have all your feelings, it's okay. But then as soon as you mention a negative one, well then you need to get to work to not have that one anymore, because that one actually isn't okay. It's okay if you have it, but it's not okay if you have it. That's the message that's been coming up a lot. And when it comes to relationship, and what I'm doing is, I'm a new person. I am different than I actually was 2 weeks ago. That's the rate of change we're going through, and I'm doing a whole lot of extra stuff. Anyways, to where there's been sometimes of who am I, and knowing, okay, I'm looking for more teammates, collaborators, co-creators, partners, friends, relationships, all of this stuff. And there's been a crumbling. Basically, it's just been a series of things being dismantled, which is okay. For a lot of us who've been in this, we've seen this a time or two. But now it was what was the inner circle actually had to collapse. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. That's information for, that's how interwoven into the fabric of my being this is become. And so everything's being, because it's such a priority to me to be healthy, to be sovereign and autonomous, to know what that means, to be congruent with my goals, total integrity and honesty here. And also space and freedom for me to be that, and for other people to be who they are, and wanting to know, how do you communicate around that? And so things have fallen apart, but there's this in-between time of where the other thing hasn't totally come back in. And when you talk to people, they're like, oh yeah, things will fall apart sometimes. Oh, but are you really ready to have what you want? And they sort of accuse you of you haven't done the work, because sometimes there will be a lull, a calm after the storm, where things are actually changing. But they're changing on the energetic level first, as within, so without. We will see it, we just can't yet. How do we recalibrate our nervous systems so that in this in-between, this calm time, we don't create a storm, so that we feel like we're doing something? so that we feel like something's happening. Because that's just putting us back into our old programming. Because to feel like or feel that isn't actually a true feeling. It's actually a way for us to escape the feeling of uncertainty, of uneasiness, of restlessness, of boredom, of maybe some low-level fear and doubt. Is this actually happening? Am I wrong? Should I have done something different? And managing all those thoughts. But what's happening, it's a calm. We have to recalibrate to calm so that when calm comes, we don't chase it away. Because the sea is a metaphor for life. And what happens over calm water? Our ships come in. Relationships, money ships. All the ships with all the glitter and gold come in over calm seas. There was another one. If we're going to be the eye of the storm, that's the calm, the low pressure system that's in there. That is undisturbed by what's going on outside. There's riding the waves of emotion. Instead of it being like a tidal wave and we keep getting pummeled, we can ride the waves so that we don't get swept away by them. It's an element of playfulness that actually is available in calmer water. They will be lower, but they will also be funner for beginners. That's me. And it's still always available because the ocean is always moving. There's never no waves. There's never no movement. So we just have to get used to all the different changing cycles and patterns. What I also want us to do, because my notes are all over the place here, okay, is for us to check in, because also more than ever before, this is happening on a global, collective, universal level. So as much as we want to personalize and internalize, because we are feeling this in our bodies, it isn't exclusively ours. If we look at what's going on, and the reason I'm talking about this is my lived experience this morning. Okay, I woke up and I actually listened to 2 different meditations and then 2 more other little mini meditations because I was just like, wow, I feel really flat. I feel numb. What's going on? And I'll tell you one thing that happened to me personally. I binged watched the end of Cobra Kai, okay? Because I was watching it and a friend had already watched it and I was having all these theories and I'm like, I just got to know what happens next. I didn't have anything planned out yesterday and something else fell through, so I was like, I got time. I'm watching this sucker till the end. So I did. But then it's over. And my theories got blown out of the water, at least, unless they do come up with season 6. So now what? The same happened when I filed for divorce and moved out. And all of that survival, the fighting to try to keep it together, then the fighting in the conflict resolution and stepping out of it and creating a new life. And then you wake up in this new life, in this new place, and now what? And even yesterday, we had in Southern California, rain's kind of like actually nice, to where we had 2 days in a row of overcast, cloudy weather with rain, and yesterday was real like sheets of rain to where you have to like dart in and out of places and try not to get wet and extra caution when you're driving. And so it's in the storm and your heightened senses to where then today the sun comes out and it's kind of like, oh, I guess I should be active and energetic. Kind of like that slow coffee morning, journal feeling, which was fun about Seattle a lot. To where there's that. Here's the other one that's huge. Today is the day after elections. In the United States, we had elections yesterday. Can you imagine what you might be tapped into when roughly half of the population didn't get what they wanted? at least on one race or the other. And at least around half, because not all seats are opposed or anything, but maybe, we'll just say half of people worked really, really hard for an outcome that they didn't get. It didn't go their way. So they wake up this morning being, now what? My life was all about last night, that drive. And now it's been decided. And even if they won, now what? It's going to be a couple weeks till the office even starts over. We're plugged into this, tapped into this. We just had a full moon. You know how it gets amped up? All the emotionality gets amped up, and then it's the full moon, it's the pinnacle. We get our little ritual, and woohoo! And now what? Now is the time to appreciate the other side of the coin. The calm. That might feel like boredom or restlessness or a loss of identity. That something is missing. And to start recognizing, hey, this is just part of the flow. And we learn to relax with the in-between instead of holding on to that old pattern of keeping our barriers up, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because what that does is keep us in beta brainwave patterns, keep our stress hormones up, to where we don't get the creativity, the happiness, the joy, the laughter that the calm is more likely to usher in. We're going to miss some of the gifts that are coming in the wake of that storm in the calm. So we have to recalibrate our nervous system and appreciate the calm. How do we do this? First, let's just tap into some mental mindset stuff and remember that with everything, this too shall pass. The ocean, storms, waves, they're good metaphors for life because they're always changing. Even when they're calm, they're not moving. There's movement underneath. There's calmer little lapping waves. There's always sound and motion. Something's always going on because there's aliveness still. And in the aliveness, change is the constant, just to the varying levels of degree. And so that we know that just as the storm's going to pass, and we did our best to sometimes white knuckle it, but just breathe through it, labor pains, whatever, that the calm also will also pass. But that doesn't have to be a hold on to your, hats. It doesn't have to be like wait for a shoe to drop. It can actually just be a relaxed receiving it and enjoying it while it's there. And also remembering that if you're in this group, if you're in a happiness clinic program, what the happiness clinic is about is recalibrating the nervous system to handle this better, so that we can actually relax in the face and in response of stress, instead of going further into contraction and further away from ourselves, cutting ourselves off from ourselves, our creativity, and our source and flow. We can start learning how to open up and relax to receive, regardless of whether it's a storm or calm before or after. How do you actually do this? One of the best ways is to ask a question. One of the ones that I suggest is, can I feel my feet? Because for a lot of those who did grow up in stormy childhood situations, or even since then, will go up to our head. If we're feeling an emotion and our heart is troubled, a lot of times we've learned how to shoot that energy straight to our head and come up with a story or a narrative to explain it, and immediately go into problem-solving mode, because that is what an infant brain says, that's how we're gonna survive. I'm somehow the problem, I'm somehow at the source of this, let me figure out how again. who do I have to be or become so that I can make it through? Which isn't how do I happen to things. It's how do I mask myself? How do I mimic? What do I have to do to make sure somebody else is happy for me to survive? This is all happening upstairs. So if we can start learning how to stay in our heart, stay embodied, it will actually help break that pattern. Because a lot of us also know that as many times if we've gone storm, calm, storm, calm, storm, calm, we still keep shooting up to our heads. And as many times as we've gotten caught in those stupid narratives and gotten ourselves all amped up and so irritated with somebody, and then we have to say something, and then we have a lot of collateral damage to clean up, somehow we keep doing that. We can actually stop that shit. Give ourselves just a little bit more space and room between the stimulus and the reaction to where we might actually have the space and presence to then respond. Can I feel my feet? Then, if you have a sense, what's really going on here? And again, that's where we have to get out of our head first, because if we ask that before we're out of our head, when we say what's really going on here, oh, we've just given it a whole lot more meat to eat, okay? Oh, it must be this person, must be this person, it must be this person, it must be, and then it's just like the beautiful mind, and suddenly you're in a room full of yarn, and it maybe makes sense to you, but somebody else looks at that and was like, wow, you're crazy, okay? So let's spare ourselves the humiliation, embarrassment, and the stress that is. Because let's be honest, by now, the head game is a stress game. That's the Hunger Games, is all up here, okay? So let's bring our energy down. Can I feel my feet? Take a breath. Just break that automatic pattern of pain, go to the head. Pain, go to the head. We've got to start maintaining embodiment. This is where we're breaking the pattern of self-abandonment, because when we actually go up here, we abandon our hearts. And that's where we actually truly are connected to ourselves. So let's keep our energy down. And when I say, can I feel my feet? It's because that's about the farthest point down, so it'll sink. Okay? And then you can ask, what's really going on here? And in that, the caveat, what's going on that I'm not acknowledging, or what's going on that I haven't been aware of yet? Because that'll help maybe crack some things open, because really anything that we're aware of is in the visible light spectrum, so it's something we've either already experienced, which is why the subconscious can do it and our brains can tap into it so quickly, or it's in the visible light spectrum, which means it's something present that our five senses can pick up, which is only 3% of the information that's available. 97% of what's going on is going on outside of our five senses. And that's where the divine, universal, infinite intelligence actually has a whole lot of wiggle room to work for us. But we gotta ask, when it's working for us, it always is. That's why we need to become more aware of what questions. How can this get better? Oh, that's a much better one to answer than how could it get any worse? Oh, I can answer that one too. Okay, so awareness. What's really going on, and what might be possible that I'm not acknowledging or aware of right now? Asking a question. Also, how would I like to show up here? I know who I am and the amount of change that I've had, what I'm going for, and who I want to be, who my future self is. I'm the one that has that information. So I ask for that to show up. How do I want to show up? Then it's not in reference to anybody else. It's not about what anybody else is doing or saying. It's how do I want to show up in this? And when it's the calm after the storm and I'm a little bit restless and being like, that was either too easy and that seems weird, or, oh, I feel kind of let down and numb, but I know I've had a history of addiction to disappointment, and numbness actually is just a negative label for space, to where there's actually nothing wrong. I'm just not heightened right now. How do I want to show up? I actually want to show up poised. I actually want to show up receptive and present and able to hold this moment with gratitude and elegance. That's what I'd like. Okay. Then how do I help things go that way? What do I need to think, take action on, do, so that that's how and who shows up? With this leads me to the next tool that is supremely important, and that's to ask for help. You have angelic and divine ascended masters, God himself, Jesus Christ, angels, your higher self, your soul, ancestors if you tap into them. But there are those beings that are still tapped into infinite that want us to succeed. They are happy to help us with this ascension, but they also are bound, like us, to free will, so they can't without our request. So that if we can start requesting, they can start helping. And the best things for us to request is, help me release the heaviness that I'm feeling right now. Because it's just uncomfortable as fuck, and it makes me go into my head and go into those beta brainwave patterns, lose my creativity, and recreate an old habit. I don't want to do that anymore. Help me let go of this heaviness. Help me let go of my old stories. Help me let go of the resentment. Help me become aware and acknowledge what else might be going on that I'm not getting right now. When everything looks like it's blowing up, ask for, hey, can you help me see what's right about this? Ask for help. Also, ask for real-time support, whether that's your friends, your family, although I will caution you, sometimes they might be slightly limited because they're also going through their own stuff and because they might not know the rate at which you're changing. And so sometimes, and if you change, they have to change. There may be some resistance there. Sometimes they may not always be able to fully support your total growth, to where hiring somebody or tapping into some sort of resource, whether it's a book, a group coaching program, YouTube videos, whatever it is that can actually help you shift your perspective, help you change your level of functioning. And then you can release these patterns, learn how to feel your feelings without reacting to them, because it's actually a skill that most of us just didn't actually get modeled for us. Not because our parents are bozos, but it's because they didn't know how either, okay? With very little exception, because we are consciousness and we all know that at the base layer, with a very, very, very little exception, people don't withhold what they have. If you didn't get it, it's because they didn't give it to you because they didn't have it to give. So that's where a lot of forgiveness and releasing the blame can come in. But there are people who have been doing this work who are becoming models, who are models, who've done this enough times, who can help you have perspective about where you are in the process so that you can continue to flow with it instead of resist and react to it and keep yourself in place. Just a matter of choice, preference, how much time and pain you want to deal with. That's all. So asking for help. Angelic, human, paid, professional, friends, family, there it is. The tools that are always available to you is your body. Your body is here to let you know if you are operating in the present or not. You feel good when you're present and actually connected to who you truly are. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your breathing's going all the way down to your belly. There will be space in between your eyebrows, and your scalp won't feel tight. Your stomach won't feel tight. You will not have a compulsion to eat or drink or say something. That's how your body's letting you know, we're flowing, we're fine right now. The opposite will be true when you are plugged into your head in a story and a limiting belief. A lot of our limiting beliefs are about what we can and can't do, who we are and who we shouldn't be, and they make us really reactive because they're actually really painful. But that's when we're going to feel tight and cramped, scowling, tight jaw, tight scalp, upper register breathing, which also becomes habitual. So one of the tools that you can use at any time is to just take a conscious breath. It will get the attention of the subconscious to say, hey, we're going to insert a pause. hey, we're going to do something different here. Breath. Nature. Any kind will work. You can stare at a bug, pet your pet. I love to hug trees, I really do. Putting your hands in the dirt, going for a walk, just putting your face up to the sunshine. Nature is an abundant supply of space without judgment. Because if you'll notice, like sunshine gives itself to everybody and everything equally. There is no judgment with it. That flower is bloomed for whoever wants to see it. It doesn't matter what they're going through. It's just available to them. It also gives you space and a model for how to move with cycles and flowing. It doesn't react to the wind. It just bends with it. Sometimes a petal gets taken off, but that flower isn't like mourning. It just continues to be there, just one petal short. And there's just a total acceptance there. Trees, we'll see like in the fall, they're going to lose all their leaves and then almost go dormant and look kind of dead for a while. And then all of a sudden bloom. They're just showing us, hey, this is just cycles. This is nature. This is just who we are. This is what we do. We're a tree. So that's how it goes. I pulled the tree card this lifetime. So rock on me. I'm gonna be a cool tree. And it just shows us how to do that. Nature is an excellent model. Also an abundant source of antioxidants, so take off your shoes or put your hands on a tree or dirt to get some negative ions, okay? EFT tapping can change the firing sequence of your nervous system. Breathing, humming, singing, gargling will stimulate your vagus nerve, which is a huge component of your parasympathetic nervous system, which is often understimulated when you're in stress, you're in sympathetic mode. So not necessarily just talking, but singing and humming that have vibratory, almost massage-like stimulation, because your throat and vocal cords are right next to the vagus nerve back there. Dancing, moving, music is a way to combine emotions and move them through the body. They don't have to get all stuck here. And sometimes it's better to just move them and move with them than it is to talk about them. It's actually a way to feel them and give them expression without just having to sit still and just be uncomfortable, because I've done that to myself too. There's benefit to both. Sometimes you just have to learn what they feel like. Oh, this is what uncomfortable feels like. That's what you do in a Vipassana retreat. Let me tell you, you get a lot of practice that way. And then sometimes you can just dance and be like, I'm just going to let it move me. I'm going to give it a voice of movement because it's an emotion. It's asking to move. And when I'm just dancing in a room by myself with music that kind of matches it, there's a synergy there, and it also helps me get in tune with me. So I don't have to move in and around anybody else, and nobody else has to be there for this. I can just do that. And that's where we also get a lived experience of moving an emotion through without requiring another person to be there. So dancing, singing, music, all very therapeutic. Again, put your hands on the dirt, doing arts and crafts, engage different parts of the brain. Sometimes it just helps change the synapses. You just sometimes have to get out of thinking mode. And then moving again will help us from getting stagnant. Even as far as thinking about elections, oh, this is the new normal. And then what we do is immediately move this new normal into the permanent category. If we just start moving and recognizing that movement and flow, and that even when we're sitting still, our heart is beating, our blood is flowing, our lungs are moving in and out, that there's always movement going on, and just starting to appreciate that and notice when we need a little bit more or a little bit less, and not taking anything as permanent anymore, because that's a lot of what we're reacting to is a lie. Nothing's permanent. So then when we try to make it permanent, it becomes awful and something we have to resist because by nature it's a lie. Okay, that's another deep conversation for another time. But moving, whether it's walking, deep breathing, the Wim Hof breathing, you know, like just changing your breath, fire breathing, doing the one nostril thing. It's movement. It's creating a different pattern of flow. Doing that on purpose will actually start to get you in touch with your sovereignty and autonomy and ability to change things, to where you start recognizing, I happen to things. Nothing's happening to me here. Things are happening. Some of them will be outside of my control, but I'm happening. And then I can influence and cause a ripple effect. And if I'm tapped into the question that I asked of how would I like to show up here and how do I help that go right, I use these tools to start making the motion in that direction. Breathe, smile, move. That's how we're going to recalibrate our nervous systems so that we become receptive vessels to whatever is in the present, whether that's storm or calm, and knowing that we don't have to chase either away, we don't have to react to resist or either one of them. We know how to be with both of them. And to the extent that we do this, we can become a model for other people how to do this. And that's how we create harmony in our life. And with harmony does come all the goodness, the happiness, the flow, the ease, the joy, the creativity. Harmony, because it's going to be harmony with who we truly are. And with how nature truly is, as far as it's a little bit of everything all the time. So I finally made it to my notes, 6 minutes over. If you're interested in getting more of this, we've got Power Hour every Wednesday. There are multiple Happiness Clinic programs available. We're wrapping up Happiness Brain Training, but we're going to get ready to do another one. I think it's going to start in December before Christmas to kind of help get you into targeted future creation even before the new year. Love Yourselves is open for enrollment. And I'm changing the way that it's structured to make it more available. So I'm working out the details on that. But if you're interested in that, please let's talk. Because that is the first happiness clinic that's actually bringing more and more embodiment into it. So that if you've struggled with anything, weight loss, anxiety, depression, any of those things, those are body issues that the body's going to help us get out of. And bringing that to the next level. And I'm so excited about that. So schedule a call for clarity. And sometimes if you're just like, I don't know where to start, let's talk. And if I know of any resource that's available, be it the Happiness Clinic or any specific Power Hour, or if it's someone else that specializes in something and I know of that, I would like to just connect you to the right resource. So it's all available for you. Just ask. I'm here. Schedule a call for clarity. I would love to see you in Love Yourselves or a 90-day relationship remodel, happiness brain training, 6-week Get Unstuck and Happy as Fuck challenge, or anything else that's coming up between now and then, because we are entering on Friday, 11/11, a great portal time. 11/11, 12/12, 1/11, and in that winter solstice, there is so much that is going to change between now and early next year. And how cool would it be if you had resources in place so that you could be confident in how it was changing and that it was going to go the way that you'd like it because you know how to happen to things. That's what I want for you. All right. I've gone over. I love you so much. I hope this helped. And I'm already looking forward to talking to you next week. Have a great week. Mwah.